Presenting a knowledge source for the Indian real estate industry, SS Media House announces the launch of Estate Avenues, India's first no-nonsense, no-partisan monthly magazine dedicated to the real estate sector in India. This business-to-consumer-based magazine can be picked up from your nearest magazine vendor September 17, 2012 onwards. Aiming at pan-India distribution in near future, Estate Avenues is being launched with a print run to be circulated in over 20 cities across India. Targeted at prospective investors, developers, property consultants, and home buyers, Estate Avenues aims to be the leader in real estate information by providing the discerning investors an exclusive bird's-eye view of the Indian real estate industry and on-the-ground, in-depth analysis of trends and events. Mr. Suraj Sharma, publisher and CEO, SS Media House, while introducing the magazine said, "The Indian real estate industry has evolved several folds in the past decade, yet accurate information on the same for its stakeholders like developers, architects, banks, investors, and property consultants is not easily available." This gap gave us the editorial concept for Estate Avenues, a magazine for and about real estate people. Estate Avenue aims to fill this void and become a definite guide to help people take informed, proactive decision regarding real estate. He added, "This magazine is our foremost effort to take real estate sector to a next level of excellence, where everyone attached to this sector gets an equal chance to enhance his or her business opportunities." Estate Avenues also aims to set a new standard for real estate industry. Publications with its high-quality design, photography, illustration quality, production, and editorial environment that is bound to catch the attention of almost all the developers, property consultants, and investors in Indian real estate. SS Media House is a company with diversified interests in real estate advisory, publishing consultancy, and events management. Estate Avenues is the brainchild of Mr. Suraj Sharma, publisher and CEO, SS Media House. He has rich experience of over 20 years in sales and marketing of various reputed publications, and he has now teamed up with several like-minded people who themselves have rich experience in the publishing line to form SS Media House. Dear audience, again, I thank you for being with us. I hope all of you are here. And it is also my privilege to acknowledge the presenters of the launch today. The launch is presented by Estate Avenues along with our media partner 99acres.com and our corporate gifting partner R-Cube International. A brief about them as well. 99acres.com is the #1 property portal in India. It was launched by InfoEdge in September 2005 as a gateway to the country's property bazaar. The website enables easy access to huge property bank for netizens and allows for direct connect with brokers and builders in cities, in urban and remote parts of India. With properties of almost 8,000 builders, 60,000 brokers, and 1 lakh individuals, the portal lists over 2 lakhs properties at any time. The website has a registered database of 3 lakh users. It's our honor to have amidst us Mr. Vineet Singh, Executive Vice President and Business Head, 99acres.com. Mr. Singh, after spending the initial years of his working life in Thomas Cook and Xerox, he was involved in building the Naukri.com business from scratch. Today, Naukri.com is India's biggest standalone internet business with revenues of more than 250 crores a year. After Naukri.com, Mr. Vineet Singh moved into the 99acres.com and the NaukriGulf.com businesses in the year 2008 to build them from the ground up. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Our corporate gifting partner, R-Cube International, is headed by Mr. Rakesh Chabra. And R-Cube is one of the trusted and largest company in the product promotion and gifting industry, providing customized merchandise. R-Cube is into the corporate gift business from last 20 years and provides world-class gifts from the corporate tie-ups from international markets. Thank you so much, sir. I would now request Publishers CEO Mr. Surya Sharma to please come on stage and say a few words. Mr. Surya Sharma, please give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Babita. This is tough. First of all, I would like to thank everyone on behalf of SS Media House of coming over here by first initiative of our coming up with the magazine Estate Avenue. Thank you so much, people. This really motivates. It's very difficult in talking in front of you, and I'm talking for the first time, so please excuse me. I have been told to say a few words about the company and about the group, so here I am. At the time of conceiving the idea of coming up with the magazine in the real estate sector, the first thing came in my mind that is there any need of coming up with the magazine? And the answer was certainly yes. You know, whenever any business starts, or as far as my information and knowledge is concerned, you people are all seniors sitting in front of me. Everybody says when they start new business, they say that they are coming up with new ideas. Their ideas are unique. They are different from others. So I am also saying the same thing. But I'm not saying it for the heck of saying it that we are different, we are unique. There are a couple of points which we have taken in mind in coming up with the magazine, which I think probably make us different from others. One, we initially, with the start of the magazine, we decided that who will be the reader, who will going to read the magazine. There are so many magazines that are there in the city, in the country, which have already been working and doing fairly good business. आप लोगों के पास ही आते हैं because most of them are developers, so for asking for business. But who is the reader of the magazine? So we identify there are two kind of people. One is the end user, the buyer, the investor who is looking forward for the property, and the second is the real estate fraternity itself, who want to know more what is happening in the industry, who want to know what is what more is new is coming, and so far and so forth. So the effort of Estate Avenue is to work as a bridge between the two. Second most important thing which we analyze that none of the publication as of now, especially in this sector, as far as my knowledge is concerned, is not being started by any professional. Estate Avenue, SS Media House is a group of bunch of professionals came together, came up with the magazine. We know our job. We are doing this job from past 20-30 years. The person who is writing for the magazine, who is writing for various publications from past 40 years is the editor-chief of the magazine, of our magazine. A person who is doing marketing for over 30 years is the one who is going to take care of the marketing bit of the magazine. Same is the case with business development and so on and so forth, printing, production, and etc. So we know what we are doing it. We are doing it for other people. Now we are doing it for ourselves. And when it comes to the presence of the magazine, I personally don't feel like that there is a magazine which is available pan-India. Real estate business by far is a very regional business. If I am wrong, do correct me. If a developer is coming up with a property with X part of the city, he is looking forward for the investors and house buyers in that particular city only. It's that regional. But now the brands are grown. They are exploring various parts of the country. They want to know what is happening in the territory. Same goes with the people also. The home buyers. Because of jobs, because of MNCs, people are traveling, moving from small cities to big cities, from one metro to another metro. NRIs outside country want to buy a home back in their hometown. We want to be the reference guide. So that's the idea of our magazine. We want to give them the content, which is the most important part, which we have kept in mind, which is the thing which we don't want to compromise on. So we are looking forward to provide you more content, relevant content, basically. Research articles, what we are seriously working on it. And to be honest, this is not my job coming on stage and talking big about the company. I think the product should speak about by himself what we are doing it, and after a couple of minutes we are going to unveil the magazine. So hopefully, whatever I have said will be in front of you all. And just a last bit of it, when we were planning to make this magazine a pan-India magazine, we have, with the launch of this magazine, we have covered 20 cities. I'm not only saying it for the heck of saying it, I have actually printed the name of the distributors in the magazine. So anybody can call and check whether the magazine is available or not. I am saying that my magazine is in Bihar, it's in Patna, small town places like wherever. The list is there, I don't remember the entire names of the cities. But by doing this, I'm just trying to tell you that we are serious about the product. We know our job. We are being professional. We are not being backed up by any investor for that reason. So here we are. And, with due respect, I would like to call on stage the core member of the team who have actually worked very hard. Just a humble request, give a big round of applause for them. Mr. Talwar, please be on the stage. Rakesh Raina, Partha Ganguly, these guys, please come over on the stage. They are the ones who have actually worked very hard to make the magazine live. So this is basically the core team of, please guys. This is just a beginning, a lot more to come. Thank you so much once again. Thank you. And I think I made sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj. I request you to kindly be on the stage. Thank you so much for your words of appreciation, and we are sure that the product will definitely speak for itself. I would also request you to kindly come on stage and grace and do the honors. I humbly invite Mr. Talwar, Editor, Estate Avenues, Colonel Sodhi, CMD, Alpha G Corp, Dr. Sen, Alpha G Corp, Colonel Prithvinath, Honorary Secretary, REDCO, Professor Rao, Founder Chairman, NAR, Dr. Anil Sharma, CMD, Amrapali Group, Mr. Akash Khurana, Director, CBRI, Mr. Sam Chopra, MD, India Remax, Mr. J.S. Barara, ACRI, President-elect, Mr. Geetambar Anand, CRE, DAI, North President, Mr. Mohit Arora, Director, Supertech. Sir, kindly grace the occasion and do the honors of unveiling the magazine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Should we?
Yes, sir, please.
A very big hand, ladies and gentlemen, for this new launch and endeavor. A beautiful moment to be captured. Please bear with us. I'm absolutely sure that Estate Avenues is going to be a real positive add-on to the real estate business. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. I humbly request you to kindly proceed for tea. Thank you so much again. I, Babita Saxena, on behalf of Estate Avenues, thank you so much.
As far as Indian economy is concerned, and some basic ailments that has been ailing the industry for so long. Are you ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure being here. We have chosen a very interesting topic today. Is real estate in India the next bubble waiting to burst? It's a very interesting topic and debatable topic to discuss. Real estate is a sector where almost everyone has an opinion, and rightly so, because real estate affects all our lives. It is also a sector which gets a lot of media attention. Unfortunately, due to a host of myriad issues, the noise has been consistently negative over the last 4 or 5 years. Even now, almost every day, we see or read something or the other which points towards a real estate meltdown. In today's panel discussion, we intend to debate this issue threadbare. Is real estate on a solid footing? Or is real estate really a bubble which can burst any time? If you look at data clearly tells us that it is on a solid footing. The favorable demographics, young working population, high savings rate, low mortgage to GDP ratio, rapid urbanization leading to humongous demand. All this tells us that real estate is the next big thing that will happen in Indian economy. But there is a flip side to it as well. Real estate is constrained by a tight fiscal regime, archaic and ineffective administrative process, raising capital values, slowing sales, stagnant FDI flows. So there are a host of problems that this industry has to contend with. So what's the true picture? What's the real story? We have a power-packed panel today to discuss this issue threadbare and tell you the real story. I'll just introduce the panel to you briefly. Starting from my right, we have Dr. P.S.N. Rao. He's a professor in School of Planning and Architecture and the honorary chairman of National Association of Realtors India. It is the largest brokers association of India. Then on his right, we have Colonel Retired Prithvi Nath. He is the member governing council, National Real Estate Development Council, honorary secretary REDCO, Government of Haryana and Punjab. Then we have Mr. Sam Chopra. He is the chairman and founder of Remax India. Then we go to the other side of the table where we have Mr. Dheeraj Dogra, National Director Retail from BNP Paribas Real Estate. All of you must know Dr. Anil Sharma, Chairman and founder of Amrapali Group. Then towards his right we have Mr. S.K. Sayal, Director and CEO of Alpha G Corp. So this power-packed panel today will help us tell the real story of what is the exact status of this industry. Are we doing well? Are we on a solid footing? Or is this a bubble as we read about or hear about it on television every day? The floor is open to the panel. Dr. Rao, you can start with your views, please.
Thank you, Vineet. Well, how real is real estate? I think that's what we are debating today. Why do we use this phrase bubble? And what do we really mean by saying bubble? Bubble is something that is artificial, it is blown up or blown out of proportion, and then suddenly something happens and then the bubble bursts, and then you come down to grassroots and reality. In my opinion, if you look at the way real estate is priced today, and if you do a very detailed analysis, in my own opinion and understanding, I don't think that real estate today is very unrealistic as it is being made out to be. Maybe in a different sense it is unrealistic, because if you look at the whole population in this country, urban population at least if you talk about, and if you look at the large number of people who have very limited affordability and a very small number of people who have perhaps a greater affordability, who can afford flats costing maybe 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs upwards to a crore and so on, then perhaps you tend to say that, well, the supply is unrealistic for housing in this country or need for property in this country, because a large number of people can't afford, only a small number of people can afford. Therefore, the supply is not really matching the demand. But then if you look at what is being put up, and if you do a cost of land, cost of infrastructure, cost of putting up the whole thing and so on, and then you will find that the developers are making a reasonable profit, and obviously developers are here to make profit. It's not charity. So any business, you need to make some profit to stay afloat and then move forward. So in that sense, I really don't think they can't afford it. They have a feeling to say that, well, the market today is very unrealistic. The developers are not really catering to the demand that is there in huge numbers. They are only catering to the creamy layer. Now, when we are talking about is real estate the next big thing, then I will say yes, it is certainly the next big thing. In fact, for the next 2 or 3 decades, if there's any one business in which there's going to be a lot of happening, then I think it's the real estate sector, because any development, for that matter, requires space. Land is the basic platform on which all development has to happen. So whether it's roads, whether it's whatever industrial development or any kind of development, you need office space, you need residential space, you need space for shops and all kinds of things. And we just have this policy on FDI and retail and so on and so forth. There are so many things which are going to happen very soon. And the way in which we are globalizing, I think certainly real estate is the business in which we need to be in. So I think that's my take to begin with.
Basically, I think rightly you said, Dr. Saab, is that there is a huge potential of real estate in this country. But I think when we talk about bubble and all that, it comes from that there's not a matching development, you know. You see the development in the upmarket segment. We started about talking about the affordable housing. What is there in this country as of today is that we need more and more houses. There is a gap of, what we need in this country. And still I think we as a developer are not there in that segment. We all started, if you see 2 years back, this story of affordable housing was started, and today we are nowhere. We all say that there is no word affordable housing. So there is large section of society looking for accommodation in that segment, whereas I think still the focus is more and more on upmarket housing. And when we see that, frankly to tell you, the people who are cheated by our unregulated practices are in the lower segment more than what they are in the upper segment, you know. So that basically breaks the trust of investors who are investing into real estate, which I think we need to do the introspection, all of us, and I believe a lot of these issues have been raised to regulate this sector, and bill has also been put up in the parliament, hoping for approval, I think, in the next session.
Vineet, I would like to add few words. I'm very much approving the thought of Dr. Rao that it's not real estate is really a real thing. There are few things. You know, the first thing, the buyers of the industry, the need of the industry is indigenous in nature, because unlike Dubai or some other countries where the need of the real estate is from outside, from the country. So, and we have a huge gap of demand and supply in our country, whether you take EWS or middle segment housing or even luxury housing. Secondly, you know, when you go slightly back in 1990s, like 91, 92, the real estate industry was in pre-evolutionary state, the friend panelist is saying. But now the situation has changed. It has transformed into evolutionary stage to transformation and transition stage. Because India is a growing country, we cannot say that we are reaching consolidation stage. And secondly, where there is a development of infrastructure, real estate is bound to grow. And India need a huge quantum of infrastructure development. Still we are far behind what we require. So real estate industry is bound to grow even thereafter. So there is a big gap between transformation and consolidation stage. So I do agree that there is no such bubble. Maybe the sector may not be well regulated. I do agree, being a developer. But when you think about that period in 1990s, 95, where 2 or 3 real estate company was listed in the stock exchange. But after the policy of liberalization, globalization and privatization, I think more than a dozen of real estate industries listed today. So there is a difference. So I would say it is, and if you think in previous global recession, Indian real estate industry was insulated from other forces. We in fact performed very well. Even in this downturn situation, Indian real estate is far better than the rest of the world. So I think it's not a bubble. May it require some correction, some reform, some regulations, which is gradually taking place.
I'd like to add something. What was India's, maybe 20 years ago, a biggest drawback has suddenly become India's biggest strength. The population, if a lot of us know, which for in the 70s and even in the 80s, the slogan was to hold on the population, we can't have more population. And all of a sudden this population has become the biggest strength. Because of various reasons, since our GDP, our growth rate has been growing, and what they call a middle class, with the 400 million middle class, people having disposable incomes. The first thing when person has more disposable income, he looks to buy is a piece of land. Now, unfortunately, land is finite. It's not infinite. So obviously, simple demand and supply, the law of demand and supply, because the land is finite, the prices, and there are more people asking for it, the prices have gone beyond. Now look at the middle class part of it. The middle class in India, the average monthly salary of a middle class person in India still is between 30 to 40,000 rupees a month. Even if I take the upside, which is about 40,000, all right, so yearly 5 lakhs. On a 5 lakh salary, which is worth 50 lakhs, where he might put maybe 10 lakhs as a down payment, so he's still probably paying about 40,000 rupees a month, towards his EMI. Now, how can he afford that? And that makes me think that definitely, see, the bubble will always exist until most transactions are not happening for end users. As long as you see that it is investor driven, or people in that class who buy and then they sell, maybe for their own use or whatever, but that's upper middle class and upper class. As far as middle and lower middle, I don't think we still have made any products which is affordable. We have quite a few developers here sitting right now, and I think regardless of where you are in India, today if you want 1200 square feet, 2 BHK, it'll cost you 30 to 40 lakhs minimum. I mean, let's be real. So how can a family, who makes 40,000 a month, how can they afford? The only way they can afford so far has been, their parents had some house which they sold off, now they have some money, and now they're going at. But I still feel a bubble. I personally have been, been in a situation where a bubble has busted. When I was in America, where I still own a house, which is worth probably 1/4 of what it used to be in New York. So I still feel that until we are able to, and I don't know, I don't have the answer for that. The answer probably has to come from the government, because again, land being what it is and having that, finite land, what can you do? There's not much you can do about it.
If I may just add a few things, I think the word bubble itself is a misnomer, because a bubble means that there is this huge oversupply and the demand is much lower than what the supply is. According to me, it cannot be specific, or it cannot be generic to the whole country. It has to be specific to the city. It has to be specific to the location. It has to be specific to the segment. It also has to be specific to retail versus IT versus residential versus commercial, because you will see a huge oversupply. Today itself, we know there's a huge oversupply in commercial. On the other hand, until today or until day before yesterday, there was a huge oversupply on retail. But what happened? Some FDI policies come in, and I'm sure projects which are languishing. Some projects, maybe of large projects next to Ambience, etc. I'm sure they will immediately be set up and come up roaring. So, bubble itself is a misnomer. It's a mismatch, and in any business. Let's talk about stock market. Let's talk about the rupee or foreign exchange. Nothing can be static, and things go up and down. So therefore, there will always be a constant mismatch between supply and demand, and that's what is happening today. At sometimes the gap is larger, and therefore you say there's recession or there's lack of demand, but it cannot, or there is even a depression. But you cannot say that it is generic across border, not in a country where infrastructure is not at its best, where urbanization is the order of the day. Everybody is moving, all masses are moving on into the cities. When they come into the cities, they want places, whether they're for rentals. So if it's for rentals, the investors will buy houses for them. And, like Mr. Dogra rightly said, that people cannot afford the EMIs, but they can afford rentals. So therefore, there's empty vacant spaces which are coming in. Look at Dubai similarly. So it's actually any city will have a demand for a particular product depending on the sensibility of the individual or the developer as to what he should be procuring, and for the investor as what he should be buying.
Vineet, I think the basic point we have to remember is that the stereotyping of the requirement is not the answer. It's got to see the larger picture. What is the large picture? Large picture is that we are moving for 1,000 cities. Now, what are these cities going to be? The India is no longer a land of villages. It's a land of cities. Now, I was with the IBM chief the other day, and what are we talking about? We're talking about smart cities, the smarter cities. Now, it means the villages and the labor and the other people who are moving across the world, they need places where they can work and live. That's point one. Lately, I agree with what Sam just now mentioned. A very big avenue was opened up just yesterday. If I remember correctly, if you would go back, it was in 2004 that, actually I would say 1991, if that was earlier, the reform process began, and that's where, we all started moving into cities. Delhi moved to our areas of the Noida and Gurgaon and other places, and the walk to work culture began from 1991. 2004, that's the time when the another big thing happened, our requirement of another reform when the Manmohan Singh ushered the Indo-US nuclear deal. And gentlemen, 2012, only a day before, something very big event has happened. Our opening into the retail, but more importantly, we have to look not as developers, as retail agents, as office spaces. We've got to see what is the opportunity waiting for us. Now, in this opportunity, I would discount the word bubble as totally irrelevant. It has no meaning in the context of India, which is going to be a mega opportunity. What is US talking about today? See, there are two options have emerged in this country. I'm not talking politics. One, develop, and show the results to your people. Other don't develop. You have no other. And there is a path now where real estate is the only avenue, and that's interestingly is the name of this magazine, which is Avenues. No, that's where we have to understand. And I have jotted down one point, if you please allow me to bring out to you, that we would have to dismantle this philosophy of states' boundaries. That this area is for Biharis and all. No. India would be a land which will have no boundaries either among states or religions or faiths. Now that's what we are trying to build in where is a kind of a pilot project which Redco Haryana is working for. I've got together people. Today I met the Huda administrator how to solve these water issues. Now what entire development, gentlemen, today is real estate. It has got all industries involved in it. So not only do I say that it is this particular discussion which Vineet has begun by throwing the bubble, I think we have to bust it right here. There is no bubble. It is a meaningless point because the bubble, if it was bubble, why should America be investing here? The whole world is shouting to move here. Now, what we have to do within India, carry out through your, which you are supporting, Vineet, this all avenues, is massive education. Education, like I think Sam brought out, rental housing. What did we do wrong in Delhi? Gentlemen, 50 years ago we began this Delhi. When I was a young student, I am elder to this state by 50. I was born 10 years elder to India. So I'm a little elder person to the entire nation. When I came here, what was it? Chambries. You know Chambries? Rental housing. We all lived in rental housing. He saw how beautifully he brought it out. Now, and we started urban sprawl. Now the urban sprawl has destroyed this entire Delhi, which is 60% unauthorized. 60% unauthorized. Suddenly it's opened up. The master plan, what does the master plan say? It says, we're going to regulate. Now, we are saying, wherever there is, this is what I spoke to recently to the government, Mr. Kamal Nath, that make these urban sprawl go up. He said, where will the money come from? It's cheaper. It's cheaper use of land. Next to our ambience, I think somebody mentioned ambience, we have a lot of people, small villages, they say, look, I've got so much of land, give me money. So we are, today I was Huda administrator, we are allowing them to go up. And we'll build for them. So I think, gentlemen, we are going to find solutions through real estate avenues, which is the one who has called us for this thing, to entirely give solutions rather than talk about what we have got problems about. Go for rental housing, then go for single room apartments. What? People like in America would graduate from rental to 1 room to 2 room, then big homes. Even a person like we started skill training. Skill training, what does it mean? That you train these guys, we started Seva Kendras now in our areas, where we give employment to anybody, irrespective of state. Then once they get jobs, then give them homes. And give them in situ rental housing. And that's our responsibility. And we as responsible developers have to follow our code of ethics. We are going to ensure that we look after the people, have this circles of prosperity, Mission India. That's what we've been talking about, affordable house. We have been working together. And I think if this panel decides to find out solutions to this and let this magazine propagate the solutions, that will be the answer. Thank you.
If I may, just add one more thing on this, on the FDI issue. With the Walmarts and the Tescos and the others coming in, the amount of employment that will be generated, the way Tata Nagar was created or a Modi Nagar was created, imagine if a Walmart comes out in a particular area, there will be local urbanization over there, there will be employment generation, there will be housing, affordable low-cost housing will also be created, walk to work, there will be also depopulation or densitization of these areas like Delhi, and people will, or Gurgaon, and people will move to Manesar or Bhiwadi or other places. So there's lots that can happen, of course, and hopefully with this policy paralysis actually getting rectified, things will definitely change.
Thanks, Sam. Great points. I'll just add another dimension to it, and then briefly we can have views from all of you. There are two things that I wanted to bring to the notice of the table and of all the panelists. One is this huge social movement that we had in the last few years because of issues involving land acquisition. I think this issue tells a lot about the social upheaval, the social changes happening in modern India. That the immense wealth generation is happening because of real estate for a lot of people. And if the farmer, who is the landowner, if they feel shortchanged, they will not keep quiet, and it can take different routes. It can be violent, it can be legal issues, and it can become so big that it can derail an industry for a couple of years, especially in the locality or the city in which those issues are happening. One. The second is that I was reading a book by Joseph Stiglitz recently where he pointed out that in the last 5 decades in America, 90% of wealth generation has happened only for 1% of the population. So are we in modern India, since we are a developing country, high growth, etc., are we treading on the same old path all over again? Because if you find that if we take normal salaries, that what Dheeraj pointed out, that he said that normal salary be 40,000 rupees, which is 5 lakhs a year. I'll increase it by 1 lakh and say, okay, let it be 6 lakhs a year. But at even 6 lakhs a year, can a person earning 50,000 a month afford a house? To cash in on this at least 25% per annum capital value increase that happens in real estate or not? Inflation is increasing at 8-10%. He's a normal, or she is a normal working guy. They get 5 to 15% on an average increment in a year. High inflation, raw material cost increase, petrol price, diesel prices increases every year. Are their salaries or incomes even growing at an income level year-on-year basis? So if we continue on the same path, okay, I see that it is not America of last 50 years. This is 2012, and we are starting on a development journey today. And plus this is India with a country of 1.2 billion people. So maybe huge amount of social unrest and upheavals will happen if something is not done right. And I think the core basic issue is affordable land acquisition. If that happens, that erases, I think, 99% of the problems for the entire industry and for socially and economically as well. So I just like to have the panel's viewpoint on these 2 points.
I will take on that, Vineet, about this land acquisition. You see, land acquisition has, in my opinion, 2 dimensions. One is linking it to the salary of the people who are of our classes for affordable homes. But more importantly, it is the people who own these houses now, who own this land now. See, I've had a long experience in New Zealand, where I've been working with the government there also. You see, our situation maybe has to be seen on a little overview, where the people who own this land, they have to have a share in the prosperity. This is more important than what salary you and I get. Now, how does that happen?
That is a very limited number.
No. If you look at it,
Comparatively, it's
no. So my point is, they own it. They don't let you do it. My issue is that government, like if you look at it, nuclear plants, land, SEZ, you are not able to. You have acquired it.
Sir,
given to the developers.
Even if they let Karnal Saab,
can I?
95% of the people, 95% of the people are coming to
my
the nuclear plants or all these.
No. I'm not talking about nuclear plants. I'm talking about land acquisition for development. When government acquires land and gives it to us, when we start developing it, we are not able to develop it. That's the core issue. It's not how many people do it. Now the issue thereafter is, does land acquisition in this country has been very, very old process. The Land Acquisition Act was to be introduced, we haven't been able to introduce it. But we have found certain solutions within the states themselves. The question is that it's not that how many people own how much land. The people who own land, they don't want to give it to you. They don't want to give it to the government. And when government acquires it forcefully, we have a problem in utilizing it. So, I think in Haryana we have been able to find a solution that the developers, we are buying outrightly the land from the villagers and giving them a share in the prosperity. Whoever owns the land, he has over a long period certain right over it, not only in living in the house, in the income which is generated, in the education we provide. So once you look, see, we have to create a climate where everyone, chief, has to prosper.
But Sir, there is not even a single example in the state where government has given a land and you can say this is affordable house.
So it means that government cannot give you affordable land. That's what to understand that.
Vineet, do you know how much percentum of land have been used till today in whole of India? It's just 1.42% for housing. And if you go for the infrastructure like road, bridges, even I include industries and all that, that is 2.78%. So these are the maximum percentum. But what we do listen from the mouth of the politicians and other people, that the entire land is being taken so that there will be a loss of agriculturable land and all that.
Dr.
So it is just an
Sharma,
eye-wash.
you are touching upon a very, very favorite theme of mine, that like inflation, is this land shortage also an artificial inflation?
Exactly. See, I'll tell you, absolutely there is no shortage of land, and I'll tell you, I belong to a place wherein my grandfather and forefathers were involved in farming. Today, near Patna, today, even a farmer, a tenure holder, having 10 acres of land, he cannot give fish and bread to his kith and kin. They cannot give a good education. They cannot give a good health care. So the real farmers, the real tenure holder, who doesn't have electricity to irrigate their land, who doesn't have any marketing facility, who doesn't have any other infrastructure, they don't wish to keep their land barren. They want to give willfully to the government. If we politicize the issue, or if there is a paralysis, policy paralysis and all that, then all the issue comes. It's a very simple theory. Land acquisition is a very simple theory. People do want to give land, and government must acquire land in a systematic way. They should not go for this, collector Raj and just acquiring land from the farmers and just paying any amount, X amount. Why the things are not being made uniform for the whole state of India? Every Indian state has got different policy. See, one land acquisition act for government of India, and thereafter they can make sub rules in the different states. So so there should be a model sort of system.
I think that's what the government of India is trying to do now with the land acquisition.
No, but I'm sorry to say that I have been discussing with the chairman of the panel of land acquisition 2-3 times, and we had made to convince that the land acquisition act, what you have framed, has got a lot of things to rethink, because they have few paragraph in that, like they cannot acquire cultivable land, or which is better in giving better produce. So it's not correct. Once you are going with a alignment of any railway track or canal or highways, and there is a fertile land, how can you change the course of the alignment?
That feedback has been given that it should be different for different uses. For infrastructure, it should be different for residential, commercial, etc.
And there are a lot of issues like that. So land acquisition is a political issue as of today. It's not a
one of the things I'd like to share here, also the monies that are paid, like Colonel Saab just said also, that the farmer, the actual landowner, needs to benefit. I think the biggest problem is that there is obviously, because of the lack of education, there is no financial responsibility or financial discipline with the villager or the landowner today's date, and rightfully so, because he's not been educated to that extent. When he gets money, before he gets the money, there are enough people wanting to take that money from him, use it other ways. He also, gets carried away, misuses it. So if there is, like I believe there is an enactment which a bill was proposed, or a portion of the bill said that you could, the farmer would have to use it or get it over a period of time, etc. I think wasn't it during the Calcutta time, the West
10 years
Bengal
and 20 years also.
10 years and 20 years
10
also.
20 years.
So that would be a
Sam,
better
even in
way
this
of
current
doing
real estate bill that is being propagated, I think land acquisition bill, it is deferred payout.
Deferred payout.
That all the payout will not happen. What has been happening as of now is that suddenly I get a windfall of money. I spend all of it in 5 years. After that I am unemployable because I am not educated properly. I am not skilled enough and so on. So the money should come in various stages so that, and plus there should be a rehabilitation. I think
Absolutely.
rehabilitation has been a
That
big
has
point
been
in this
given
land
maximum
acquisition bill.
impetus. No?
Yeah. Sayal, any point that you wanted to add? I think you have been wanting to add some points.
No, but basic issue what Colonel Prithvi Nath said, is that we graduated from rental to 1 room to 2 room to 3 room, Where is this growth? Where is this requirement? I think we all know that they are all in the cities, like if we say in this region, you say Gurgaon, potential of real estate huge. People say that there is no potential. I say if 1 room, 2 room category, if density permits, 2 kilometer queue to buy apartments, but you can't create them. Density doesn't permit you to make 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. You are talking about studio. Studio apartment one room can be there in studio, in service apartment, but that is a commercial uses. 6 crore rupees an acre is the approval cost and change of land use. I mean, you can't afford. 40 lakh rupees it will cost you. What are we talking?
1.5 or
1.75. I mean, that's not practically possible,
I think I have not been properly understood. What I'm trying to bring out to you is...
No, sir, what I mean to say here is, I think there is a big role for the government, because as a business people, we can't subsidize even if we buy land, If today you are buying land for 3 crore, 4 crore rupees a acre, spending 6 crore rupees a acre on conversion and land use charges, FAR cost you 3,000 rupees a square foot. Can you afford to give 1,000 square foot flat for less than 35-40 lakhs? So in that case...
I'm talking of the...
Kalanath, Dr. Rao has to leave, so we'll just allow him to make his point.
One point.
Sure.
The Constitution of India has been amended umpteen number of times, over 100 times. But there was one amendment called the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, wherein the right to ownership of property ceased to be a fundamental right and it became a legal right. So it is only by law that you can be the owner of a property. So that being the case, actually the government has the power to take away any of our properties, but then that is a very complicated and politically colored kind of an issue. That apart, land is a concurrent subject in our country and states have their own ways of looking at it. But one model that we have is acquiring land, and I think we are only talking about that model. There is yet another model which is very popular in the western part of this country, in Gujarat and so on and so forth, and the law for this is available in some other states as well, but somehow it has not become as popular as it has become popular in the state of Gujarat. These are called the town planning schemes. And in the town planning schemes, what happens is that the farmers themselves come forward to give their lands to the government and willfully. And what happens is the point which Colonel Prithvinath was making, how do you make the farmer a stakeholder in the entire process of prosperity? That is exactly the model wherein what is the whole idea of development? You have irregular parcels of agriculture land that are strewn around, and then what is town planning? It's putting them in a regular shape and size, putting roads and infrastructure in place, and then ultimately buildings come up there. So when the agriculture come, they hand over all their lands temporarily to the government. The government takes over, they put up a scheme there, and maybe 10% or 15% of the land is cut off from each of these land holders in order to make your roads and your open spaces and other things. And once the development is done, the land is again returned back to the farmer. So the farmer becomes now the owner of a developed urban land as against an agricultural land maybe a few years ago. Earlier this whole process was taking a very long time, but now the law has been amended in Gujarat, so it takes a very little time. Maybe in about 2 years the whole process is over. So so 100 acres of undeveloped land as against maybe 70 acres of developed land is probably much more valuable. Lesser amount of developed land is more valuable than a lot of agricultural land. So then what the farmer does, he now has a regular layout and he's got developed land with infrastructure and roads and the entire network. And then there are umpteen number of developers who start negotiating with the farmer, and then they work out a collaboration agreement like it's worked out everywhere, and you have umpteen number of apartment blocks which are coming up, and real estate developers are flourishing very much in the state of Gujarat. So there are alternative models. This is point number one I wanted to make before I leave. I'm sorry in a hurry. The second point which I want to make is that even where if the government wants to do large scale land acquisition, as they did it in the case of Navi Mumbai, where several thousands of acres of land was acquired from them, the government worked out a scheme as against simply taking away land and simply saying, okay, here's your compensation, take this money and do whatever you want, which is not a good model. They introduced a scheme called the 7.5% scheme, which is very popular in Maharashtra circles, wherein they said that based on some calculations and all that, I'll cut a long story short, developed land has been given back to the farmers, and they have also been given relaxation in terms of the number of floors and FSI and all that which they put as against the developers and the others. Therefore, the farmers are not really left high and dry. They are not left in the lurch. They are given a reasonably good deal. I mean, you can't have the cake and eat it too at the end of the day. So ultimately, but then there is what I'm trying to say is that there are avenues. If we may use this word, there are ways in which we can circumvent the whole thing, and then make them also stakeholders, make them also prosper.
Partner in prosperity.
Partner in prosperity.
That is important.
That's the point which I wanted to make. I am extremely sorry, gentlemen. I have to rush for another meeting. So if you
Thank you, Dr. Rao, for your valued insights.
I would like to add one thing here.
I'm sorry, I'm going to miss all the points.
I would like to only add one thing. Yeah, the patterns suggested in Gujarat and Maharashtra have been evaluated by a group of people who have been working on it. We have made a paper. What we're saying is not that we are right. See, each state has to choose what it wants to do. In Haryana, what has been the consensus has been that they have an area declared as controlled area. Controlled area. Now that controlled area has to be either acquired by the government or by the private developers. So the answer we're trying to find out is the rastas or revenues which we come, we negotiate with them. So the aim of the exercise is, whichever way you do it, you should involve the owners of the land in the prosperity. And in that pattern, what he has brought out, you see, we are not America. We get afraid कि वो यहाँ हो जाएगा. यहाँ पर इतने checks हमारे बीच में हैं. I personally believe freehold property is very essential. I don't agree with Delhi. Delhi is moving back to that. So I think what your fear, will we be asked to provide one-room apartment at low, is not so. It is only
No, sir,
for those.
my view is what Sam said, that we need to address a segment which is at the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
You know, our pyramid is like this, and this base is too heavy. And that segment is, is a
So what
segment
you're saying
which none of us,
No, we're looking at it.
Yeah.
We're looking at it. In some cases, it is in situ. In some cases, they are moving away. So what we're talking is, instead of urban sprawl, go out.
Right.
That's all.
This is an animated topic. We are running out of time, so I'll just request Dheeraj to add his 2 bits to the discussion, please.
No, I was just what Mr. Rao was mentioning about Gujarat reminded me of Amul, how Amul did it in terms of milk, the way they did that. Also reminded me of something which I did see, 2 things which just came to my mind. One being the fact that beside acquiring the land, also in terms of construction, whether now I know there are a couple of companies from South America who are already here trying to do prefabricated housing, which is considerably much cheaper and faster, and which is coming up in a big way. I know they're coming up with a big township in Chennai. I'm very much aware of that, and they're. So I think we'll have to use technology as well. We do not have to stick to what they say, brick and mortar. Okay, so these are things. The other thing I just remembered